Hi guys, and welcome back to Loc'dBlackGirl. Today we're gonna be talking about the tea behind starting a podcast. Now this is the real, okay? So if you out there and you want to start a podcast, you might want to listen to this. Let's see. When I first realized I wanted to start a podcast, I was like, oh my God, this is gonna be so hard. I can't do this. I don't know how to edit. I don't know how to do this. But it's like, it's really not that hard when you first starting off. And I was doubting myself a lot. And I kept having people tell me, like, you should go ahead and start it. If you really want to do it, you should start it now and you have the resources. At first, I didn't know I could use my phone to start a podcast, but I did. So, so the app I used was Anchor. Now, Anchor is very easy to use. You basically just make you an account, make a podcast, and post it, basically. And I watched some YouTube videos on how to work it and on how to do my podcast and different stuff like that. So it's not really that hard, but I was psyching myself out. So that's why it took me a while to start mine. Okay. To get your podcast on different platforms like Spotify, Apple Music, iHeartRadio, different stuff like that, Anchor can help you with that, because Anchor is really by Spotify, so it's going to automatically go to Spotify. But in order for you to get it on other platforms, it's some kind of way you can go on Anchor and go on the different ones and make an account and then put it into Anchor, and it's going to post on those. That's what I did. Now, YouTube is a different story, because, baby, that's kind of hard. It's kind of hard. I'm still struggling myself. YouTube, you gotta see, most people video themselves, like when you're doing a podcast, like what I'm doing right now. Most people have a camera and they record on Anchor and record on YouTube at the same time. I don't do that right now because, like I told y'all, I'm still trying to get my first apartment, and that way I can have a good backdrop, I can have a good setup to where it don't look too bad, you know what I'm saying? So right now I'm just going to stick with the audio videos on YouTube instead of the real videos until I get me a good space to do it. Now, when you starting a podcast, you have to, I ain't gonna say you have to, but I do. I like to talk, hands down. If you know me, I love to talk. So this was a good idea for me. Plus, it's a way where I can share my thoughts and vent and pour my heart out without people actually have to look at me, because I'm very shy and I do not like being the center of attention. But it's like doing a podcast, you're not the center of attention, but you kind of are. And it's like, I don't like people looking at me when I'm talking or, something like that. I was never good with a lot of people watching me and being the center of attention. Was never good with that at all. So this podcast is something that, kind of helps me get out of my shyness a little bit. I feel like when I started doing it on YouTube, that it kind of helped too, because I know once I post a video, a lot of people watch, you know what I'm saying? So they kind of help with the shyness. Now, I started this podcast because I told y'all, first of all, I love to talk, and it's someplace where I can pour my heart out, you know what I'm saying? Be myself, like really, truly be myself. This podcast is my baby. Like, I love it. Even if I didn't have no listeners, I still would be doing a podcast, because it's somewhere where I can just talk for how long I want about whatever I want. You know what I'm saying? And some people like to listen to that type of stuff when you just talk about anything or just rambling. Some people like to listen to it. Sometimes it's satisfying and stuff like that. So yeah, I started the podcast because of that. But now, if you want to start a podcast on a budget and you broke, like me, when I first started, I was broke. Yeah. So when I did it on my phone on Anchor, I just downloaded the app, just started recording on my phone. You can edit on there too. So I was editing it, but I barely know how to edit. So I was barely doing edits. I was like, if I don't get it right in the first take, I'm going to do it again. I didn't realize that you can do more than one segment and just put it together. I ended up doing just one segment at a time, and that was the episode. And then post it. Now, I just started doing it on my laptop to where if you're doing it on a laptop, you don't need a microphone. You can just do it like you're doing it on your phone. But I realized it sounds better with a microphone and a pop filter. Now, I went on YouTube and I looked it up on what I needed to start one. They were saying all kind of stuff. And I was like, well, I'm broke. I don't have none of this. Like this one girl said she used a snowball microphone that was like $60. I said, oh no, I don't have that much. So I need something cheaper. So I actually went on Amazon and Walmart.com and found me a little cheap microphone. It wasn't that much money. You got some on there for 30, some for 16. It's like, and they're really good quality too. And some of them even come with a pop filter. You know what I'm saying? I forgot what they said a pop filter is used for, but it actually make your segment sound good. So I got one, and it came with the mic anyway. So I feel like when I first started on my phone, you can tell I was a newbie because I kept it short and cute, and I always was nervous when I was doing it. And now I feel like me having a mic now and the right tools to do it sound better. Not only that, but I'm also more comfortable. I feel like I'm more comfortable now doing my podcast than I was at first because I gotten used to talking on the mic and, you know, posting and letting everybody hear me and things like that. Now, if you're shy like me and you start a podcast, it's like when you first started, you be so nervous, you don't want to mess up, and then you end up messing up. Like me, I did so many segments for my first couple episodes, and I messed up so many times and had to redo it because it's like I was so nervous and trying to make it perfect and everything. And I was like, I'm realizing now that it doesn't have to be perfect. You know what I'm saying? It's your podcast. You can talk about what you want. You don't have to change your accent. You don't have to change your voice. Because me, I have one of my insecurities is my voice. I did not like my voice at first, but now that when I be listening back and playing back my episodes, I be like, I sound good. You know what I'm saying? Like at first I thought I sounded bad. I sound real good. You know what I'm saying? And you know how many people listened to it and told me I sounded professional or I sounded good. And I'm like, well, I'm just gonna stop trying to change up my voice and I'm gonna talk like how I talk. And I mean, I naturally talk fast and I have kind of like a country accent with some of the words I say. So sometimes people can't understand me, sometimes they can. And I used to think that was so ugly, but now I realize it doesn't matter how you talk or how fast you talk or something like that. Do what you want to do. It's your podcast. So now I'm starting to get more comfortable with my voice and how I say certain words and stuff like that. I'm starting to get comfortable with it. I'm starting to get comfortable to the point where I can make my episodes longer. Like at first I was just doing like up to 5 minutes or 7 minutes. And I realize now, like, I listen to other people's podcasts. Yes, I do. And I be like, their episodes be long. And I be like, I don't know if I can do it that long. I don't know if people really gonna listen, or I don't know if I can talk for that long. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, you do what's best for you. You do what you're comfortable with. And I'm doing what I'm comfortable with now. Now I'm making them a little bit longer, but that's something I'm gonna have to work on in the future, making my podcast longer. Yeah. Now that's the real tea behind starting a podcast, you know. So if you have any questions for me, or if you want me to do a part 2 or something like that, just let me know, comment, or reach out to me on any social media. Let me know any more things or topics you want me to talk about. And that's all for this one. Thank you guys for listening. Until next time. Thank you guys for listening to this episode of Loc'dBlackGirl, where we talked about the real tea behind starting a podcast. Now, like I said, comment on any podcast app or DM me on any social media platform if you want me to do a part 2, or if you want me to answer any more questions for you. Please like and rate on any podcast app. My social medias are at Loc'dBlackGirl on anything. Don't be afraid to reach out to me. And thank you guys for listening. It meant so much to me. Until next time.